Hey, what's up, everybody? Back again with a new review, and this is of The Boys Season 3, Episode 6, Herogasm. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe to Watch Darius TV, share the video, all that stuff. Let's begin. So basically, the intro to this episode, has a warning, basically, which I don't know why they would do that. The Boys has always been a pretty wild show anyway. I read up on Herogasm also. When the show first, before the show came out, I kind of looked up on what the comic books was, and I remember hearing about this panel about basically a bunch of superheroes going out to party, basically. Yeah, it's like it's just they get into all kinds of crazy stuff in the comic books. Anybody's ever read it? This is probably going to be the craziest episode to date. This episode is just I figured it was going to be the craziest one that they would have. I love how the boys basically just push the limits to what they do. They just the writer of the show. I like the way that they just take risk and they just write what they want to write. I really respect that. It kind of reminds me a bit of Game of Thrones, how they just write exactly what they want and have no fear of whatever backlash might come. Also in this episode, the Deep makes a video about the supervillain attack and stuff like that. Kind of similar to like when certain attacks happen in real life, when a celebrity makes a video about it to show that they're against whatever happened. Typical celebrity stuff. And then he starts basically singing, and then a whole bunch of other celebrities start joining in. Basically, it's a parody of the actress Gal Gadot. When her and other celebrities were singing during the pandemic, just completely cheesy and corny. And I like the way they made a parody of that. It was just so, I don't know why celebrities were doing that to, anyway. But it really fits with how cheesy the character of the Deep is. He would end up making a video about the supervillain attacks and all other stuff. But anyway, Homelander sees a video of Soldier Boy and he's surprised. That's an OG. That's an original hero that he's looking at and that he looked up to, and he's surprised after Soldier Boy pretty much blew up Crimson Countess. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Homelander is worried about Soldier Boy's appearance. He worried about he might possibly end up destroying Vault. So he basically plans on killing Soldier Boy, when he ends up seeing a video. So that was interesting. The real Soldier Boy in the comic books basically was just a Captain America ripoff. He didn't have these weird exploding powers. I don't see the point of them. I don't know. It seems like a really weird power for him to have, just the ability to explode. I don't, I don't know. I don't really agree with it, but it fits with the story, I guess. Homelander questions Black Noir about Soldier Boy, and he's silent. I don't know how does anybody talk to Black Noir. He doesn't use no sign language like Kimiko, so I don't know what's up with that. Basically, I'm still wondering: is he still going to be a clone of Homelander? I don't think they're doing that though, but because the actual real Black Noir is black, so I don't know if they're going to still do the same thing they did in the comic books. So I don't know if he's going to be a possible clone of Homelander. Anybody read the comic books, you know what I'm talking about. And if you didn't, you don't. You do know now. Black Noir ends up cutting his chip out when he finds out about Soldier Boy. So I'm guessing that first time we actually see Black Noir afraid. That was interesting. He cuts his chip off and just dips off somewhere. We don't know where he went either. Soldier Boy is completely out of his element, basically being in this new world, right? We see that from the last episode. Soldier Boy wants to kill Payback, and basically Butcher wants him to help him kill Homelander. So that's the plan that Butcher has with Soldier Boy. And we already know MM is clearly not cool with that because basically, Soldier Boy killed his grandfather. So, I'm assuming that Billy Butcher might have something set up where maybe, possibly, he might give MM some of the V24 so he can fight Soldier Boy after they possibly try to kill, quote unquote, kill Homelander. Even though we know that's probably not going to happen, obviously, but we'll see. I would, there has to be some type of plan he's going to do there because I know Butcher can't just let, Soldier Boy get away with, blowing up and, killing like 19 people. I know he can't just let that happen. So Kimiko is attacked by Nina's bodyguards while in hospital and is kidnapped. I don't know how they able to do that. How you able to kidnap somebody from a hospital is beyond me, but he was able to somehow do that. MM calls out when he's talking to Starlight, stuff like that about Butcher and about Soldier Boy killing his family and stuff like that. He basically calls out Starlight and says for white people when they get mad they go berserk, but he has to turn the other cheek, and Starlight says, hey, it's just up to them two to basically deal with Soldier Boy and everything going on, but MM does make a point there, why does he have to turn the other cheek when everybody else doesn't have to. Even somebody with a good heart like MM gets pushed too far. A Train is still has this whole thing where he's going to go to Africa and stuff like that. As you can see, the little clip that he has when he's involved. And A Train ends up confronting Ashley about Blue Hawk basically paralyzing his brother, and basically nobody cares. She calls him out about the times that he's definitely killed some people. Like Robin, Huey's girlfriend, which most likely I think there's even a reference that he probably may have ran through other people also. So basically, all of this is of course karma. I would say that he probably has it better because at least his brother's probably still alive. I don't know how badly paralyzed A Train's brother is, but at least he's still alive though, compared to Robin and his girlfriend and anybody else he's possibly killed. So it's crazy seeing that happen to A Train. It's like my favorite character too. Homelander is sad Black Noir ends up leaving and disappearing. He didn't like that, so he definitely starting to feel a lot more alone now. The Deep finds out Soldier Boy is hunting his old team, and he ends up telling Homelander that. So basically, that's pretty much the reason for why the Deep is pretty much on the run because he was a part of Payback. That team, which I find weird because Payback is supposed to be like in the comic books, it's supposed to be a parody of the Avengers. So I don't know why Black Noir was in that because it's like Batman being a part of the Avengers. So I don't know. So that's kind of strange. Anyway, but then again, also like I said, they had other members that are supposed to be a part of that Payback team. Like in season 2, Eagle the Archer, he's supposed to be a part of that team, and so goes for Stormfront. But I guess they just had to do something different. I would have loved that whole team together, really. But also I believe Termite is probably supposed to be on that team too, because technically, I guess he's a parody of Ant-Man. But I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into it. But I would have liked to see more of a real parody of, Payback. The Avengers team and the boys. But they did their own thing, so it is what it is. The Deep also seemed like he's probably tired of his girlfriend. After he ended up having that talk with Homelander about Soldier Boy attacking and stuff like that, and hunting his old team down, he seemed like he was becoming tired of his girlfriend. So I get a feeling that she probably might end up dying this season too. Homelander talks to himself in the mirror. There's a scene where he's talking to himself. Okay. And tells him basically he has a talk with himself in the mirror, and he basically tells himself to stop being human. Basically, that's about it. Like completely lose your humanity. Even though Homelander never really had much humanity, he's always been on a short, tight leash because of Vault. Now that tight leash is pretty much fading off. So I guess now Homelander's gonna start showing more of his insane self, more out in the open now. So that's gonna be scary to see. He's talking to himself now. I don't know how that's gonna be. I think they might not even do that whole thing of Black Noir being his clone. I think they may not do that this time around because he's talking to himself now. Then there's also that scene where Soldier Boy basically was saying that Bill Cosby was America's dad and stuff like that, and the scene where he talked about how he makes strong drinks. That was really, that scene was just wow. But that's the boys for you. They're gonna do stuff like that, make scenes about that. Leave Bill Cosby alone. Don't joke with him like that. Soldier Boy says he didn't mean to explode and basically end up blowing up those people, but he doesn't promise he won't happen again. Which obviously we end up seeing later on in this episode. He ends up doing it again. So definitely, Soldier Boy is literally a walking time bomb, and he's going to have to be dealt with eventually because he's probably might end up being worse than Homelander. At least Homelander isn't. Well, he is possibly responsible for killing a lot of people, but Soldier Boy is a walking time bomb. He's going to have to be dealt with. Butcher and Huey seem like they also are becoming addicted to V24 when they take the drug right before they go to Herogasm. So they definitely are obviously becoming more addicted with each episode. So that's getting a little bit extreme with them too. Um, the Deep goes to the twins' house, and we see a slight glimpse of Herogasm. We don't get to see it just yet, but we see a glimpse of it. They only show like like a little, sneak peek until later on in the episode. In the comic books, it was like a complete retreat, like someplace else, like a resort. This time around, it's just like in somebody's house, somebody's like little mini mansion. So I guess that's a bit different from how they did it in the comic books. Like I said, Homelander also, he seemed like he's starting to react more emotionally when he has the interview with Victoria and Starlight. He's beginning to slowly unravel after basically since Soldier Boy has been around. He's beginning to unravel more and more and more as we see in this season. So yeah, like I said, I really feel like Homelander's gonna really just wow out before the end of the season. He's gonna really just start to just be more straight up with his destruction. Victoria says she wants help from Starlight with dealing with Homelander and basically becoming the leader of the Seven. And she will help Victoria become. Victoria says she wants help from Starlight and has a deal to basically help her deal with Homelander and her to become the leader of the Seven if Starlight will help Victoria become more famous. Starlight completely disagrees with that, and doesn't want to have anything to do with Victoria. She's pretty much becoming more and more sick and tired of Vault and everybody a part of it and stuff like that. And Victoria wants their little talk to stay private and stuff like that. Or basically, she makes a sort of a slight threat that she can do something worse to Starlight than just give her a nosebleed. So definitely, we know that Victoria is going to become a newer arch enemy in the series. Basically, from this point forward, I guess somebody has the power to blow up heads. That's and do it to the she's a threat to humans and soups. That's I don't know. Something's gonna have to be dealt with her, but she definitely looked like she's might going to be a future antagonist later on in the series. Nina ends up getting Kimiko and Cherie and Frenchie. Nina tells story of basically Frenchie's battle scars that he had all on his back and stuff like that, and getting more of an idea of his history. And Nina ends up basically forcing Frenchie to choose between Cherie or Kimiko, and then she will end up killing Frenchie. So basically, Nina is not playing with them at all. I thought Kimiko's powers beginning to activate after she was able to somehow use the lollipop stick, not the lollipop, but the popsicle stick to basically break her handcuffs. I don't know how the heck that was possible. That felt so Hollywood, but somehow she was able to use a piece of wood to unlock her handcuffs. I don't know how. And Kimiko ends up saving the day. She kills Nina's bodyguard, without her powers. And Nina ends up getting away, but she ends up saving the day, even though she took one heck of a beating. I don't know how she was able to survive that and walk after basically getting punched in her ribs by some fully grown man. I don't know how that was possible. But somehow she was able to survive that. So MM basically tells Starlight Soldier Boy. He ends up sharing the story of what happened to his grandfather, about how Soldier Boy threw a Benz into the house, ends up killing his granddad, and that has sort of created him to have OCD. Um, and he feels that he just has to kill Soldier Boy. So that's basically MM's motivation as to why he ends up hating Soldier Boy and why he wants to get his revenge. So that's MM. I don't think he's gonna really get his revenge. I think somebody else might kill Soldier Boy, but I don't know if it might be him though. So, Starlight and MM basically they meet Love Sausage, who already had a cameo appearance in season 2 in that prison cell. I would if you told them the comic book name, Mother's Milk. I also had a scene where he basically when they had to go into Herogasm. I was wondering if MM would have told them his comic book name, would he been able to be allowed to go in Herogasm because they had to sort of make up a some sort of reason for why MM and Starlight can get into Herogasm. I was wondering if he used his real comic book name of what MM stands for, would they have allowed him in? Would it have been crazy enough name for them to let him inside of Herogasm? I don't know. MM's name is really weird. I don't feel like really saying what it stands for, but it's a really odd name. I wonder would they have been cool, because he had to make up a reason, to let him inside the party. And you know what they were saying about, what he does. Starlight says what he's good at. So I wonder, would they have allowed him in or not with that name? Would it have been too weird even for Herogasm? That's just a question I might have. But anyway, so we see Herogasm, and it's basically like, to me, that when we first see it, it's like an episode of Spartacus. Basically, if anybody ever seen that show on Stars, you know how crazy that show gets. We see ice dildos. We see the termite guy who's supposed to be a parody of Ant Man. He bumps into MM and gets some type of weird sticky stuff on him on his jacket. Then he ends up getting more stuff splattered on him. They really did MM wrong in this episode. He's always already the last season he got choked out by love sausage, and it's just they really be doing MM crazy. Soldier Boy says he basically is going to start a Herogasm. Both MM and Butcher say that Frenchie probably would love that place. Frenchie's into all kinds of stuff, so I could see him being interested in Herogasm. Starlight wants Blue Hawk to help get people out of Herogasm because she knows that Soldier Boy is about to break inside. Soldier Boy doesn't seem to care about hurting innocent people at all during Herogasm. Once he gets there, Blue Hawk thinks Homelander is going to keep everybody safe. Completely wrong. They put in too much trust into Homelander. I'm guessing they're trying to basically have Homelander be like a Trump parody, basically, kind of like how Trump says, keeping everybody safe during the pandemic and stuff like that. So I'm guessing they're sort of trying to have Homelander be a parody of Donald Trump, I guess, maybe, and everybody putting their faith into Homelander that he's going to keep them safe, although Homelander could care less about people. Blue Hawk's one of them people, I guess. So, Huey teleports nude into Herogasm, wearing the perfect clothes, I guess, for that event. Starlight catches the Deep basically having sex with an octopus. I don't know what's up with that dude. That dude is anyway. The Deep is crazy. Anyway, Huey confronts A Train. I like the scene. Huey confronts A Train about Robin. Huey has powers now, so he's a lot more angry with the V24 pumping through his veins. But this time around, A Train ends up apologizing, because now he understands how Huey feels. But the drugs basically are sort of turning Huey into more of the bad guy this time, and he refuses to even accept his apology and ends up punching A Train. So, there's definitely now of a weird switch up where now A Train is sort of becoming more of, I guess, a good guy, and Huey's becoming the bad guy now. So, and also kind of might be a reference to what MM said, though, to Starlight about, white people, when they get mad, they get berserk, whereas, you could say that maybe about Huey, I guess, I don't know. Maybe that's what that could have been a reference to. Maybe a callback. I don't know. Starlight wants Huey to help get everybody out before Soldier Boy ends up walking in. The two teleport away. Huey he ends up telling Starlight that he hates feeling weak to her because he has no powers. She thinks he's just basically being himself. That this V24 is bringing out his inner self, what he's been really feeling this whole time. So, yeah, their relationship is pretty much on the rocks right about now, Starlight and Huey. MM and Soldier Boy, they face off, but Butcher stops MM from going after Soldier Boy because he knows he's going to end up dead trying to go up against Soldier Boy. So definitely MM's going to have to take some of that V24 if he even thinks about going up against Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy meets the twins, his old teammates, and, they were talking to him, trying to put everything on Black Noir, saying it was all Black Noir's idea and stuff like that. But he ends up having a PTSD episode and completely goes nuclear in Herogasm. And ends up burning up a lot of them freaks up in there. So, and one of my favorite scenes of the episode is when A Train confronts Blue Hawk. This scene was probably one of my favorite ones. He pretty much drags Blue Hawk halfway across, like maybe a road, and he completely just drags him. I'm not just talking about on Twitter. He completely drags this dude. And it's just, then he ends up having a heart attack. Man, I originally thought that a few episodes ago when they had the Black Lives Matter meeting and Blue Hawk completely loses it, I had a prediction that A-Train was going to just end up using his powers one last time to run through Blue Hawk and kill him and then end up having a heart attack. That's what I thought was going to happen. But instead, this ends up happening. Also, this could be a reference to the murder of James Byrd Jr. when it comes down to A Train pretty much dragging this racist across the street. This is what happened to this black man. Back in the day, James Byrd Jr. got dragged down the street by some prejudice, like some racists and stuff like that. So I wonder, was this a reference to that when A Train ended up, doing what he did to Blue Hawk? I wonder, was that a reference to it? If y'all think so, comment down below. But anyway, that was like one of my favorite scenes of the episode. A Train really went out, but I hope he didn't die either. Homelander ends up going to Herogasm and he steps on Termite. So Termite is up out of there though. That guy was crazy. When Soldier Boy doesn't even care about going nuclear, and as Homelander arrives, they end up finally meeting face to face. And before that happens, Homelander is up blasting Butcher with heat vision. Homelander says he used to look up to Soldier Boy and stuff like that. Soldier Boy completely insults Homelander, looks at him as a total clown, doesn't like his cape, none of that stuff. Doesn't like his suit. Suit is whack. Everything is whack about him. All that stuff. Let me see. Yeah, so it ends up being a three-way fight. Homelander gets into a fist fight, and it's basically this whole scene kind of remind me of in the end of the comic books when Homelander ends up fighting Black Noir. This whole setup looks like that when you see Homelander fighting in this episode. If anybody read the comic books, you know what I'm talking about. And like then there's that cliche thing where Butcher and Homelander are zapping each other with the laser beams and stuff like that. Everybody see that in every superhero comic book and stuff like that. Let me see. He's surprised a human has powers like A Train. Oh yeah, and also Homelander's completely shocked that Butcher has powers, just like how A Train was shocked that Huey was able to hit him. Uh, Soldier Boy and Huey, Huey ends up joining into the fight. They all end up attacking Homelander, and they almost get close to killing Homelander, but Homelander flies off. So and Starlight, they help others and stuff like that who survive the bomb, while Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy walk off. They're the new tough guys now, so they just completely walk off. And like, we ain't got time for that. It seemed like Huey and Starlight aren't together too much anymore right now. So Kimiko's powers didn't come back at all. I thought they were, but she feels a monster. She ends up feeling like she was a monster before the Compound V. So when she ends up killing Nina's bodyguard, she feels that she was a monster before that anyway. So she seemed like she'll probably never be happy with or without the powers. She feels like she will always be a monster, Kimiko. I hope she get her powers back though, because her powers are super cool. Starlight basically ends up saying that Soldier Boy killed everybody at the party, and then she pretty much exposes Homelander, and she ends up quitting the Seven. So I never knew Starlight was gonna go out like that. Her video seems way more powerful than that corny video that the Deep made early in this episode. So this episode almost feels like a season finale more than an episode earlier in the season, later in the season. So this episode was a crazy one, Herogasm. So much stuff to unpack, so much stuff went on. Like I said, my favorite scene was when A Train killed Blue Hawk. I thought that was super cool. Like I said, it was similar to what theory I thought was going to happen between them two. But I love it when members of the Seven have other antagonists besides the boys. I love that. But this episode was super cool. Really dope. It wasn't as crazy as they made it out to be, but it was a really good episode. But if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, leave comments down below what you thought of Herogasm, and if you read the comic books, share that to everything. And thanks for checking out my review of The Boys.